All right, guys, so today we're going to continue with plotting the points, and so I've got this big coordinate plane right here to show you guys this. I've already labeled this, that here is your x-axis, and then here is your y-axis. One thing you're gonna kind of notice is my origin is the 0, which it always is, but when I notice I'm jumping to 10, but if I were to count each of these lines as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't get me to 10. So right now you should kind of know that your intervals are actually going to be going by 6, 8, by 5s, or sorry, by 2s. I don't know why 5 was kind of in there. So what you just need to remember is that each of these lines is going to be counting by 2s, but you still can figure out that even number, that half, that 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, because I know it's going to be in between those. So just kind of know that for any of these. This next one, it says, so we're going to basically follow a bunch of directions and find some coordinates. So it says to give the coordinates for 3 points that are on line A. So right here is line A. So I'm basically going to find some points. And I'm just going to kind of make it easy on myself. And I'm actually going to label this here too, 4, 6, 8, just so I have that. And I'm just going to kind of start down here. And I notice that I've got one right here, which is going to be over 4, up 4, which my coordinate is going to be 4, 4. Okay. And I'm just going to actually kind of keep going to make it easy on myself. I'm going to go over 6, so my x is 6, and then my y is also 6. Okay, and then same thing here. I'm going to go over 8. I'm going to go up 8. So I'm going to have my x is 8 and my y is 8. Now, if you notice, they are all the same. And it says write a rule that describes the relationship between the x and the y coordinates for the points on line A. And the rule would be the x and y values are the same. So I could make any coordinate. I could say 12, 12, 14, 14, 20, 20, and it's going to follow that rule because my x and my y coordinates are the same. Moving on, and this one is on your next sheet, but I'm just going to kind of keep going with this, and I'm just going to kind of go back and forth showing the coordinate. So this first one says, what do you notice about the y coordinate of every point on line B? So I'm going to find line B, which is right here. And it wants me to know, what do I notice about every point that is on the y? So remember, my x is this one, which is that first number, but my y is going to be that second number. And so each one of these, my y is all going to be the same because it is a horizontal line. So I need to figure out what is going to be the same. Well, let's see here, I've got 12, 14, 16, so it's going to be 17. So what do I notice about the y coordinates on line B is they all y coordinates will be the same, and I'm going to put in parentheses 17 is my y coordinate. The next one, it says to fill in the missing coordinates for line D. So here is line D right here, okay? And so I'm going to take a look at this, and first it says I want to find 12. So let's go ahead and line D, right? I want to make sure. I'm going to find 12. So here is 12, and I'm just going to put my little dot here. I want to know what is my y. Well, if I trace it over, my y is going to be 6. So I'm going to go ahead and write 6. Okay. Then here, if I extend this down, because my 6 doesn't go because it wanted to have my x coordinate as 6, I don't have that line going there yet. That arrow means that my line's going to continue going. So this would be my x coordinate right here, which would be 0. Okay. Then it says 24. So let's see here, 20, 22, 24. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to find what is going to be that coordinate there. So I'm going to trace it over here to find out my y. And I'm just going to count 12, 14, 16. That's going to be 18. So my y coordinate, oh, I did that backwards. My y is supposed to be 24. So I did it backwards. It wasn't my x that I was looking at, and that's what I was looking at. I want to know my y is 24. So 22, 24. So I'm going to trace this along here. So here's where my y is going to be. And so it would just basically be if I extended my d. And when I look here, it's going to be 30. Okay. Just remember, guys, if you want to, go ahead and write all of the numbers out so that you have them. And then also remember these arrows, that arrow signifies that that line can keep going for however long we want to. The next one is going to be 28. So I know my 28 is right here. I'm going to trace it up, and here would be where that y would be. And if I trace over, I know that it's going to be 22. But then when I look here, it says 28. Well, if I go 28 over here, because it's my y coordinate is 28, I'm basically like way off of this chart. So probably the best thing to do is instead of trying to extend it is to kind of look here and look, what would my rule be? Well, if I have 12, 6, 6, 0, 30, 24, 28, 22, I'm noticing that the pattern is going to be 6. And I notice that my x is 6 times greater, or 6 more, not 6 times greater, I should say, 6 more than my y. So this is going to be, my x is 6 more than my y, 6 more than my y, 6 more than my y, which is correct, 6 more than my y. So I want this number right here to be 6 more than 28. And if I do the math, that would give me 34. Okay, and of course I don't have 34 here, and I'm not going to try to draw it out. If you know what the pattern is, you'll be able to figure out some of those different plots. The next one says, for any point on line C, what is the x coordinate? So I'm going to find line C, which is right here, and it wants to know what is going to be that x coordinate for y. And when I look at my x, if I extend it down, it's going to be right here, which the number that's between 4 and 6 would be 5. So my x coordinate on line C is always going to start with 5. Okay, so now it says each points lie on at least one of the lines show. And so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what it is. So they've done 7, 7, and they said that it's A. So if I come here and I look for 7 and 7, and if I were to trace this up, this is the line that I meet, and it is line A. Okay. The next one is 14, so over 14, up 8. So I'm going to go over 14, so 12, 14, and 8. And I'm just going to basically trace my finger until we meet. And when I look at it, that is line D. Okay, so I'm going to write line D. The next one is 5, 10. So I'm going to find 5, and then I'm going to find 10, and then I'm just going to trace up until I meet, and that's going to be line C. The next one is 0, 17. So that means I'm going over nothing. I'm going to go up 17. So here is 17. So 0, 17. And if you're thinking, well, there's no line here. But if I were to extend this line right here, it would meet that. And that is line B. Okay. The next one is 15 and 3/10 and 9 and 3/10. Now I know you're like, gosh, can I find those tenths on here? Honestly, guys, it's just kind of eyeing it. So I know that 10, 12,